Hey everyone, how you doing today? I have a super special interview discussion today with you. I have someone that is kind of worked with me professionally for over a decade, and he's also taken the leap into real estate investing here in the last couple of years. But I think you're going to get a little color on Michael Zuber pre real estate, pre helping coaching others here. Let's welcome Corey to the show. How you doing, man?
I'm doing well, Michael. Thanks for having me.
This ought to be fun because I've shared some personal stories back in the day, but we're going to actually have somebody validate them for the audience, which is probably going to be a little embarrassing, but I'm cool with that. And it's all right. Well, so why don't you just kind of introduce the audience to who is Corey, where you're at, maybe, where you and I bumped into each other along the way, and we'll get into some stories.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Corey Mays, I live here. I'm in Atlanta. I invest in my hometown in Alabama, which we'll get into later. But yeah, actually, Michael, I don't remember exactly when it was that we met. It was sometime in 2010. I started working with HP in 2010 out of college.
Yeah.
And somehow landed in a software sales role. And I, through the kickoffs in Las Vegas and through everything else, I mean, you were in a leadership role already, I think, at that point.
Yeah.
From like go-to-market strategy and things like that.
Yep.
And so, your name came up, but then, out in Las Vegas and for the kickoffs and things, and you would do these, I guess call them, the breakout sessions,
Yeah.
right? Where we, you'd have all certain salespeople in a room. And
Yeah.
I remember distinctly, like one time, I was it a bunny suit that you were in?
Yeah, I wore a bunny suit. Yeah.
Yeah. So big personality, right? But also somebody who just like absolutely, always put their money where their mouth was, right? And delivered like consistently massive numbers for the business. And so really early on, you were someone that I really looked up to and said, I want to be more like that guy, right? Like he's absolutely crushing it. And then we were talking a little bit before the show, but you talk a lot about goals and things like that, and setting goals, but then also doing the work and having the discipline every day to be able to ultimately achieve that goal. And again, just a place where you've always just practiced where you preach. I mean, I was telling you that earlier. Like, I think that the biggest thing about you is that it's the discipline, right? It's like the discipline. Like it's you mentioned that it's harder to set the goal, and I can see how your brain works that way. But for a lot of people, like it's easy to set a big goal, right, or to set a goal. It's so much harder to actually get up consistently and have the discipline to like do the things that you need to do every day to help you achieve your goal. And that's, that's what I remember. I don't know if it's the same time you were wearing the bunny suit. Maybe it was a different one, but you were up on stage and you were talking about, how to make $1 million in a year as a software sales rep, right?
Yeah.
And how, how it was actually absolutely doable, and how everybody should have that as their goal, and what are the things that you need to do to get there. And so it's not only that you have the discipline to actually do the work every day, but it's you set really big goals, which I think scares some people. And anybody who knows about your story, it's like, look at where you've gotten over the years. And you talk about it being 15 years, and that's the thing. It's like we've known each other for 10, and I didn't know that you were doing this, right? Yeah. But 10 years later is 2018. Beginning of 2018, I saw your LinkedIn post about how you were done with the software and the working world and no more selling, and you're going to go do your own, something different. And so that really caught my attention, because I was like, wait, this guy is young, like now I really need to do more of what he's doing. And so as the information started to come out, I was hooked, man. I mean, I've always been, I was a finance major, economics minor in college. I've always been, infatuated by markets and things like that. And I've always wanted to do my own thing and kind of, have my own business per se. But I'm not the ideas guy, right? Like I'm not going to go create the next Facebook or whatever. But to your point, and you always said the blueprint's out there. Hundreds of thousands of people have done the same thing that you've done
Yeah.
with this exact same methodology, right? In real
Yeah.
estate and investing. And so that's when I decided that that's the way I was going to do it. And so I subscribed early on to everything that you were saying, and I've been trying to do it ever since.
There you go. I remember a couple of stories. So let's just get into this a little bit because I think people, people watching my channel need to know a little bit more about, Zuber pre helping others. One is, you have to realize, right, when you're running go to market or taking a product from 0 to 100 million, which I've done a couple of times, you've got to catch people's attention. So I wasn't above making myself look like an idiot because I wanted somebody like you who maybe bumps into me 3 times a year, right? Because again, I had a worldwide role. I could be in Europe or Asia just as well as the United States. And I would do crazy things. I remember the bunny suit. I remember the most fun I had was the Where's Waldo. Do you remember that one where I was out initially in a full pimped out suit, then somebody else came on, and then we were talking, and then the lights went out for like 5 seconds, and you could, every time I did it, right, because these were breakouts, I did it like 6 times. People go like, oh my god, what's going on? And then I'd come out in a Wells Waldo suit because I changed in the back end, right?
Yeah.
It was always about the million, right? You got to get a hook, and for salespeople that are fully commissioned, our base really just is the minimum. Right? Let's go for it, right? If we're gonna do it, let's do it. And if you aim for $1 million, it's a nice, sexy number. And I got lots of people there, but lots of other people ended at 702 and 687, and still wonderful, life-changing years, right? So I had so much fun doing that stuff.
Yeah, it just goes to show. I mean, I know I was probably just another face in the crowd at that point, but you never know who's watching, and
Yeah.
you certainly lead by example, and you're just someone that I've looked up to ever since. So
Nice. I appreciate that. And the beauty is I'm not changing, right? It's just,
yeah,
it's kind
not
of
at
how I'm
all.
wired. It's just,
No, you are straight down the middle, man. I mean, it is insane.
yeah.
Truthfully,
Yeah. It's very cool.
it's incredibly admirable. Yeah.
I appreciate that, Corey. Well, you are now one of my students, and you've actually started doing deals. So again, what market did you pick again? Which one are you investing in?
Yeah, so it's the same market where I grew up in Muscle Shoals, Alabama area. So anyone who's familiar on this channel, maybe not so much, but the Quad Cities in Northwest Alabama.
Okay.
We're particularly focused in Florence and Muscle Shoals right
Okay.
now. I know that sounds like 2 different places, but anywhere else in the country, it would probably be one zip code.
Okay.
So yeah. So
Okay. All right. So give I don't know that market at all. In fact, I'm not sure I've ever heard of those cities before.
sure.
What kind of price points are we talking about? Like what's like in your search criteria? What's an average home look like, or whatnot?
Yeah, average, it's went up. I mean, it's went up a lot in just the last year, right?
Yay!
So
Well, yay for what you own. Yay!
yeah, absolutely. But it's been tough to buy great deals. So
Yeah.
we'll talk about that a little bit as well. But yeah, I think average is in Muscle Shoals, it's probably 120 to 150
Okay.
is the average home price.
Yeah.
And then in Florence, it's probably about the same, like 120 to 150.
Okay.
What
Just
we've
curious.
purchased so far has been below the median.
Yeah.
So,
That's
you
where I
know,
focus too.
yeah, the first one that we did was it was actually so I there was a for sale by owner sign in the
Nice.
yard. He had just put it out like the day before, but drove past it and thought, well, I got a call at least and just see, right?
Yeah.
And that ended up being the duplex that we
Nice.
found. Now this was a older duplex and probably like a C type of area,
Sure.
if we're being honest. But when you start to talk about yield, right?
Mm-hmm.
The numbers were incredibly attractive, and at that point it just kind of came down to like understanding exactly where this is, the neighborhood that it's in, right? Doing like really getting into the house, understanding what kind of condition it's in. But once we figured out that, hey, all this is pretty up and up.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I'm convinced that we may never find another deal like that again. So so we'll see.
Very,
But
very
yeah,
good.
those are the kind of the averages.
All right. So you've owned it about 2 years, right? 'Cause I think you closed in July of 19. Let's just call it 2 years.
Yep.
How's it been?
It's going well. I say it's going well. It's everything is going really well. We did have a water line bust a couple of weeks ago at the duplex,
Of
and so
course.
one of those things. It's like, you hear about it and you hope it doesn't happen. At least you hope it doesn't happen in the first 2 years. But here we are.
Yeah. Did it
And
bust under the slab or was it in the yard? Oh, a
under the
slab leak. Oh, I've had those.
Yeah. So, and luckily, was able to go to the Facebook group, and we had, it's just good to have a place to go, right? To be able to
Yeah.
ask people and bounce questions off of people, especially in things like this. And we had a guy from Atlanta come back in and say, oh no, get your own independent insurance adjuster, right? And
Yeah.
we haven't went that route yet. We don't feel like we necessarily, but like it's things like that you're not necessarily thinking about, right? When stuff like that happens, and it can be a little stressful and it can be a little worrisome when it's like, oh God, what are we going to do?
Yeah.
You have a whole community of people who can chime in and help you out. And so we did that, right? Like you said, hey, file a claim and let them run with it. And
Yeah.
and we'd already filed the claim, thankfully, but we're just letting them run with it. And so it's all working itself out, and it's, it won't deter us from continuing.
That private Facebook group is, I'm really glad I created that. I think I did that about a year after I created the course, and it's going to, and again, it's free, right? I don't charge anything for it. No silly monthly fee or anything. It's free. If you buy the course, you're in, right? If you want to be, great. I'm great. So, okay, let's get to the 10 questions. So, we can measure up against others. So Corey, did you have any real estate experience before taking the course? Like anybody in your family, did anybody talk real estate when you were growing up?
No,
Me neither.
I come from a family that would rather, I honestly would rather take the cash and put it in a shoebox and put it in the closet.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, than to invest. I mean, that's nobody ever talked about investing when I was growing up. And it's funny. So where I actually caught the bug was my carpentry teacher in high school. So you wouldn't put that together. But I had a carpentry teacher in high school, and he always said, if you could save if you could save $10,000 and start to invest, it'll change your life, right? But
wow, you remember his name?
Mr. Hardy, Charles
Mr. Hardy.
Yeah.
Congratulations, buddy.
Yeah, absolutely. So, and he didn't talk about real estate. He was more of a stock guy, but it turns out I still keep up with him. He has a lot of real estate. He's doing a lot of stuff. But yeah, so in terms of background, like didn't really get a lot of that growing up, but I learned early on that I like to make my own money. I started a lawn mowing business when I was like 12. My dad bought a little lawnmower for $10 and told me that it was mine and I could do whatever I wanted to with it. So started going around the neighborhood and cutting yards. And
that's a good story, because some kids would have taken the lawnmower, stripped the engine, and created a go-kart. Right? They would have created a liability. You create a business out of it. So again, it's just different.
Yeah. So I mean, so I think it's one of those things where it's like I've always been fascinated by trying to build something better. I think we talk about why, right? And like for me, I want to build something that I can pass down, that's worth something, and that, if they want to take it and build on it, then great. And if they want to take it and destroy it, then that's their option too. But it'll be there for them. So
that is wonderful. So I think we may have covered this already, but let's just go through the questions in order. Where did you first hear about the one rental at a time story? Was it you and I talking at an event? Was it when I posted on LinkedIn? When did you hear about it?
It was when you posted on LinkedIn. So I didn't know that you were doing this, but I knew that when you had retired, when you did that you were obviously doing something else. And so you were like, more information to come. But yeah, I mean, I think from that day, right, I was kind of in, and then you started doing your YouTube videos, I think in the beginning, and that's kind of where I really started watching and listening, and then you wrote the book, and or you had come out with the book. You had already wrote the book, but I bought the book, And then you came out with the course and the Facebook group. And
Yeah,
so I was probably one of the first couple of people in there as
you
well,
were.
but
Yeah.
it's grown like crazy. And it's awesome to see. I mean, I can't imagine, right? Like for you, because again, I mean, you retire from the software world and you go start this thing, and your whole goal is to help people. And honestly, Michael, like there's no telling how many people have truly done exactly what I did and went and bought their first property because of like what you've done, and that's
Yeah.
why when you ask for people to talk to you about their experience, it's like it's the least that I can do, right? I feel like truthfully, everything that we're doing right now, I owe it all pretty much to you and what you're doing.
I, that all of that means the world to me. I mean, I get far greater joy out of hearing from my students when they close their first or second. I don't mean this to sound arrogant, but it doesn't impact my life one iota closing another deal, right? It just
Of
doesn't.
course,
I'm still growing. I still want to do
sure.
great deals. It's all fun, but putting another set of shoes in the shoebox, it's far better. And
With
yeah,
diminishing returns, right?
yeah, and everybody should get there someday. It's a wonderful feeling.
Hopefully. That's the goal.
That's the
That's
goal,
the
right?
goal.
Yeah, this positive impact score I locked onto about 10 weeks ago is awesome. I just did the numbers for the week. That is so fun because it's just a series of events, right? It's pretty much just like software sales again, right? How do you usually hear about me? Probably on YouTube, right? And that counts as one. Well, then you do this and then you do that. And ultimately, the last score is how many deals did my students do? Not how many deals I did. I don't count them. Not how many offers, don't count them. How many people added units to their portfolio? It's an
Yeah.
awesome feeling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so just going back to the goals and the discipline and everything else, not only the goal, like the discipline to do the work but every Sunday,
Yeah.
you go in and you track
Every Sunday for greater than a year. Yeah.
your machine.
It is my superpower. There is no question. So I'm curious, what did you like? You knew me,
Yeah.
pre real estate at least. I mean, I was doing it, you didn't know. But when you get the book and you read about our 15-year journey, did you go, holy shit? Or I mean, because you have a different aspect, right? You saw me working 60 or 80 hours a week. You saw the emails about this or that. I mean, what'd you think?
Yeah. And it's not only the 60, 80 hours a week. Like I know, I mean, I'm familiar with the role that you were in, and I know the stress and the accountability
Oh yeah.
and everything that comes with that, right? I mean, it's a big. I mean, you had a big job,
Mm-hmm.
and so yes, it's like if he was in his hotel room, like waking up early to look at the market every day, and
Yep.
he's writing offers on the plane, and all of this other stuff. It's like I have no excuse,
You
right?
have no excuse. Yes.
Especially working from home here in COVID and everything else, right? It's like there's no excuse at all. So it was that. I think it was, and it's because you do the work and it's because you pay attention every day. But like the way that you were able to see market is changing, like these
Yeah.
things are happening, and the way that you went from 8 to what 80,
Yeah. Good
and
memory.
how that really changed the game, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so um yeah, it's something that it's something that's I think that those are the big things. It's people might say, oh well, he was lucky and he always kind of hit the right wave, and it's like that's not luck, like he was doing this every day and was able, like had the wherewithal and the know-how to be able to see it coming. But not only a lot of people can see it coming, but they still don't take action to adjust.
Exactly. Yeah.
And so it's not luck.
It's
You
not luck.
know,
Yeah,
it's
that's the one thing that's like my big red button. You want to really piss me off instantly? Call me lucky. Go ahead. I
no,
dare you.
yeah, no, not at all. And so, I think that was my biggest takeaway from the book. It's like you talk about doing the work every day, and you talk about these things, and it's like that's really what it takes
Yeah.
to be able to see, identify, and adjust. When
Yeah.
markets are changing.
That's awesome.
And I think you're capitalizing on that was a big point in your journey. And
Oh yeah.
so we're still at 2 properties, three units, but
Hey,
I'm
that. Let's celebrate that.
yeah,
Most
yeah.
people I see.
I'm personally, we didn't add anything last year,
Okay.
right? And I think we talked about that. And
Yeah.
so I'm a little frustrated with that, but it's also because we didn't feel like we were finding
Yeah.
great deals,
But you
right? And
did the
so
work, right? You tried.
we did. We
Yeah.
did. We wrote offers.
Yeah.
They didn't get accepted. We're hoping we had one fall through that we're hoping to come back and close in May that
Nice.
we've been able to stick with. But yeah.
Awesome.
So, I'm hoping that one day we're in a position to where we can 1030 into, take what we've got and change the game for ourselves as well.
Yeah, 1031 is an awesome thing, and I love the fact the IRS doesn't get any pieces of that. That is wonderful.
Right.
Nice. So this is just a quick one, but we're going to go through all the questions. Do you follow me on One Rental at a Time, the YouTube channel?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah. The daily financial news, all of that. And I know that's a little different, right? But it's like if you're, I'd say if anybody's not following that stuff, it's
It all
incredible.
pieces together. All right, the daily financial news, if you just catch it once a month, probably doesn't make a lot of sense. But if you follow me over a month or 60 days, it does tie together, right? All I do is track the consumer and cost of capital. And, I get interesting stories once in a while, but
Well, and
it's this.
all of that stuff is going to impact, right.
Exactly.
And you talk about the 10-year a lot, right? And like,
Mhm.
that's, that's something that has going to have a direct impact on interest rates and real
Exactly.
estate. And so yeah, so the one rental at a time YouTube though is amazing. I mean, some of the people that you have on
Oh,
and the expertise that you have on,
yeah.
again, just giving all that stuff out for free
Yeah.
is
Yeah, what many people may not realize is all of my experts, the ones that I call the experts, right, Monday through Friday, all of them are bigger than me. I mean, we don't talk about that, but a couple of them make me look like an ant.
yeah.
A couple of them, I'm in the same game, but a couple of them, I'm like, one's speaking Latin and I'm speaking French. I mean,
Yeah.
there's some big time experience in there. So, thankful to all my experts. Thank you for my hour a week. I appreciate it. The audience appreciates it.
Yeah.
All right. So why'd you sign up for the course? I think you bought it early, but let's call it $200 now. Why'd you throw down $200?
Yeah, so I think it was 100 when I got it.
Yeah.
So you talk about the Facebook group a lot, and so funny enough, so when I read your book, I created the spreadsheet, right? Like I don't know if it was the right spreadsheet, but in your book you had talked about like, hey, this is what I do, right? For my students, first thing I do is I ask them to go create a spreadsheet,
Yep.
bring it back to me, we'll review it together. So I went and created a spreadsheet. So I think I created the spreadsheet before the course was ever
I think so.
for sale. So when the course came out, honestly, and you talk about this, but like I was really just trying to buy access to the group.
Ah, gotcha.
I wanted access to the Facebook group. Now the course is amazing. It helps to create, I think, a lot of focus. It helps like step by step to take you through how to create a very consistent and repeatable process for comparing one deal to another through yield, right? Which is like a game. I mean, it would be a game changer for anybody who's having a hard time trying to focus, because in the beginning, quite frankly, I was thinking about investing in a market that's right outside of Atlanta in Conyers, Georgia.
Mm.
And yields were good, right? But it was, I don't know what clicked, but I was like, wait, why am I not looking back in my hometown? Because average home price is X, and I know that average rents are Y.
Yeah.
And so that's probably like just napkin math, right? Probably better than what I'm looking at here. And when I started and really started diving into that market and listing them out and comparing yields, I was like, there's no reason for me to put my money in Conyers. I should be putting my money over here. And because I also had more connections there, right?
Yeah, I was going to make sure we talked about that, because one of the things that I talk about early is boots on the ground. And that's where you had depth and relationships. And again, I always talk about, and it's really for the people that are like in California or the East Coast going to the Midwest. I'm like, is anybody going to show up at your funeral? And I mean that, right? If you have that kind of boots on the ground, they're going to tell you the bad news.
Yeah.
And when we talked about it, you're like, dude, like 12 people will show up at my funeral. I'm like, okay, good. You got boots on the ground, right? That's the kind of level.
Yeah, it's been good, and it's only a 4-hour drive, right? So I mean, if I have to, I can definitely get there. I can drive there in a day. But in terms of the numbers, look, we'll never see the appreciation that we would see in a tertiary market outside of Atlanta. But in terms of the cash flow,
that's okay.
it's It's good.
I'm happy
Yeah.
for you. All right,
Yeah.
couple more. So what did the daily focus and or what did the focus and daily execution mean to you? That's kind of how we start, right? That's the first step of the course. I kind of put that right in front of you on purpose because that's where people fall down. What did that mean to you?
Yeah, I mean, it just to me it meant looking at it every day.
Mhm.
If something new pops up, I put it into the spreadsheet, see like, how does it compare?
Yep.
Um, but then also, I mean, I think that's really it, right? It's just it's if you pay attention to it every day, you see changes,
Yes.
right? To
Exactly.
the point that we were talking about earlier about how you were able to identify and take action when you saw changes coming in the market, and that helped you get to where you are today. I think that's what daily focus and execution means, right? It's
Mhm.
doing that every day so that when things start to change,
Yeah.
you can identify it, right? And
Yeah.
you can either take advantage or you can do the things that you need to do to get yourself in a better position to protect yourself. And so I think that's what it means to me.
Yeah, and it might be a little clunky the first 7, 10, 15 days, but it does get easier, more efficient. At this point, you're an expert. You probably fly through it, right?
And our market is pretty small, right? I mean, in
Okay.
any given day, there's only within our criteria, there's only 20 to 30 houses that are going to be up like within that, right? And
Perfect.
then only a couple of those are going to be new. Most of those are things that have been there for the last week or so. So,
Nice.
but being able to see that and see how things are ebbing
Yeah.
and flowing, and and then also, but it's like when that good deal pops up, it's going to be gone,
Yeah.
right? Because other people are looking as well. So
Yes.
you want to be there. You want to, like, day it hits, you want to be looking that day. So that's the other thing that it means to me, is
Awesome.
not missing those gems when they do show up.
Absolutely. I mean, that's the whole point of the exercise right there. Find them quick, find them early. Very cool. So, next question is, did you build your spreadsheet? Clearly you did. And are you comfortable now with yield? You understand the variables and how to, how those get impacted by make ready and price points and all of that?
Yeah, and I think it's beautiful, right? Because you can always go you can always go and buy a rental
Yeah,
property, and but like if you only have X amount of dollars, where do you get the most bang for your buck?
exactly.
And so, like, to your point, like, where is my money going to work the hardest for me? And everybody, I think that if you can focus on maximizing the return of every dollar,
Mhm.
then it'll
Yeah.
probably pay off well.
Yeah, again, that's what I want people to hear, right? You can go to any market anytime and buy something. That's not the point of anything, really. My point is, go do the work up front and tell me what average is, right? That's the only question that matters. All these other things, job growth and blah blah blah, it doesn't matter. What is the average deal in your chosen market, your chosen asset type? Once you can articulate that confidently, the world's your
Yeah,
oyster, right? Because your
yeah, because
job's
I
just
mean,
to do better.
in our market, I mean, an average deal uh, could be up to 10%, right? I mean, I kind of
Nice.
have it from like 6 to 9, and like
Okay.
in a lot of markets, that's good, right? So
Yeah,
I mean, if you didn't
exactly.
know any better, and you were out of state, and you say, "Well, I'm going to invest in Alabama
Yeah.
because they have, the numbers look good."
Yeah.
Right. And you see a 10% deal and you say, "Oh God, that's great," right? You might jump on it because that's better than anything that you're finding in your market.
Exactly.
What you don't know is that a great deal is, 15 plus, right? 15, 18 plus.
Yeah, I want people to hear this because this is what California. I pick on California because I live here and I hear it the most. If I lived in New York, I'm sure I'd hear the same thing. I'm
Yeah.
going to go to the Midwest. Why? It's cheap. I get a 10% yield. I can only get 4 here. Well, who said 10% was magical? Yes, 10% is more than your 4, but I mean, what are you doing? And I love it because I actually have now relationships with lots of different people. And sometimes I get phone calls from people in Cleveland and other areas. I'm like, you damn Californians are buying stupid things.
Yeah.
It's like, I know I
Yeah.
can't, I try, but whatever.
So it's like that the first duplex that we bought, right? I mean, um, I think we calculated the yield in the beginning at 23% before we bought it.
Yeah.
And after 2 years, it's running at about 31%. So that's the reason. That's the reason why I say, like,
Yes.
10%. Yeah, it might sound good, but if you do the work, if you learn your market,
Yeah.
you'll quickly realize, you know, in our market, 10% is an average.
Yeah,
Kind of
10% is not even working. You know, go do the work, right? Because again, everybody has limited capital. You know, 90, depending on the market, 95 to 99% of stuff's average or bad. You know, you go do the work, God damn it. Cool,
yeah.
awesome. So, any keys or key lessons from the course that you take away?
I think it's that, right? I know we
Yeah,
keep saying it's just do the work.
do the
I mean,
work.
that
Yeah,
is the course, right? Like you get into the course. I think step one is like create your spreadsheet.
yeah, it
Step
is.
two is like
Smack.
go in and start putting it all together, right? So
Yeah.
it's just, and then it's like keep doing that, you know.
Well,
And
yeah.
so
Going back to the beginning of this phone call or recording, it's kind of the same thing for being $1 million rep, right? Just do the work. It's just different work.
do the work every day. It's just get up and do it. And so I think one of the things though that I'm have maybe been maybe more interested. I don't want to say more interested in, but just one of the, so currently, right, we're doing all of these with 30-year mortgages, you
Yep.
know, so it's working out well. It's easy enough right now,
Right.
as long as we have the money and all of that other stuff. But at some point, you know, it's going to become harder to get money, right? You're not going to be able to go to the bank and get a 30-year mortgage, and so that's all. Those are like bridges that we'll cross once we get there. But the stuff that's in the course around raising private money and things like, I think that what you did years back when, you know, we were going through, I think it was what, the 2008 financial crisis, and you know, opening that up to your friends and family, right?
Yep.
But the way that you structured it, and it's like it's genius, man. And it's like you know, so I think those are the things where it's like some of that stuff is in the course where
Yep.
like that is going to be incredibly valuable. It's all incredibly valuable, don't get me wrong. I mean, creating the spreadsheet and figuring out yield is probably the most valuable part of the course in general, but
No question.
I think getting past that, like, I know there's going to be a lot of value in some of this other stuff around private money and things
Yep.
like that. So
Cool.
I think it's amazing.
Awesome. Two more questions. One is the second to last one is, would you recommend the course to others?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And again, it's like, I would encourage everybody to go take the course, like do the work, take the course. I mean, especially get your spreadsheet going, understand yield, right? Like, I think that's super important. But again, I would say that the Facebook group, the entry into the Facebook group is more than worth the cost of the course. And then the course is like the bonus, right? Like, to me,
awesome.
like the course is the bonus. The Facebook group is like, that is going to pay dividends over the years. And it's so exciting to see, and like incredible to see everybody collaborating, but like people doing their first deals. I mean, it's just an awesome environment. It's like, if you ever need any motivation,
Exactly.
just go a little bit.
That's awesome. And then the last one is, you know, thoughts on the private Facebook group, but you kind of nailed it, right? I call it the happiest place on the internet. Trust me, I would delete my personal Facebook page if I could, but unfortunately it would take the group away. So
I kind of quit on Facebook for years. I mean, I hadn't never logged in, didn't, you know, but then the group came up and I'm on there like every day. But that's the only place that I'm going, is the group.
You'll right there.
You go to my Facebook page. I haven't posted in I don't know how long or anything, but I'm on that group like every day. So yeah, it's awesome, man. I would encourage everybody, if you're thinking about it, if you're thinking about, you know, real estate investing, and you feel like you're stuck, or, you know, you wish you had somewhere to go, it's like, there's plenty of masterminds and all of these other things that you could pay thousands of dollars to go be a part of. But like, there are some very seasoned veterans
there
in
are
the group that like we're in, and it's a fraction of the cost, but like, again, the people that are in there and the things that are being talked about, it's amazing.
All right, man. That's it. That's the 10 questions, man. I appreciate you. Any wrap ups, or you got another crazy story about Zuber back in the day you want to share with everybody?
No crazy stories. I appreciate you having me on. And again, I really appreciate everything that you're doing. I know that you certainly didn't have to do this, but I also know that the way that you're wired, you could never just sit around in retirement and not do something like this, where you had to still structure your day and do
Yeah.
all these things. So I get it, but from the bottom of my heart, man, just extremely thankful. And you know, not, I mean, for personally for what I've learned, but then also it's just like, I don't know. I mean, there's so many people who are going to ultimately probably do the same thing that you did and retire a little bit early and have a much better financial life because of what you're doing. And so I just can't thank you enough. I mean, honestly, it's
That's
thank you.
awesome.
That's all.
You have no idea what that means to me. And yeah, I'm doing this for, helping. Really, what I'm breaking it down to is I need to help people have a better financial future, then financial freedom, then legacy wealth. And you can choose to start and stop at any step you want, but that's the
Sure.
process. Better financial future, financial freedom, then legacy wealth. So I appreciate you, Corey. Thank you for doing this Sunday morning, man. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Let's keep it rolling.
You got it. Bye.
All right, man. See ya.
Mhm.